started that topic of completion. So I'll be your host, Pastor Kelvin Obonyo, and I believe you're gonna be blessed. I hope you have your pen, your notebook ready as we take some notes over here. So I believe many people are gonna be blessed. I'm just reading, I just want to see some of the reviews. There's somebody who was actually saying that they didn't know that issue of where they live, being that I'll be having a guest, and many people will see what I was saying, that sometimes even a simple thing like where you decide to bring up your child, the impact that can have. So I believe you'll be blessed by that. That will come later on as I'll be doing the interview. But for now, I just want us to get back to this word and finish it and be blessed together. The issue of completion. And remember our theme verse, Philippians chapter 1. I'd said Philippians chapter 1 verse 6 that says, being confident of this very thing. And I emphasize that word, being confident, because we are sure, being confident of this very thing, that he who began a good work in you is faithful to complete it, faithful to carry it to completion. And that is where we got the word completion. I believe that is in the NIV version. Other versions, NKJ, New King James Version, and this other amplified, they might give you a different translation, is able to carry it to full circle, something different. But the key word is completion. The thing has to come to pass. It has to be finished. Amen. So let's get right into it. And today I told you I'm even getting into the deeper end of it, and people are gonna be distracted. I'll just do a recap of the points I had said. I had said, number one, there are so many distractions you'll have to conquer in order to reach completion. So many distractions that you'll have to conquer. And I'd also said God is faithful, but most times we are not listening. Hence, we end up doing the error. And then now I was to finish on my third point. This is where we had started to get a gist of the word, and then time. Today I'm going to try work within the time frame. So the third one I had said, there are things that happen to you and change the trajectory of your life completely, totally. And I want to pick it up from there. There are things that happen to you and change the trajectory of your life completely. There are things that people could be thinking they are simple stuff, you got over them, but to you, the level of damage and harm that simple decision, that simple act, to others it is not a simple act, something that happened to you that changes the trajectory of your life. And remember, I'd said most of the time there are distractions, things that cause us not to finish the thing that God had begun in us. And that's why I said by the end of this, we must all finish. We must all say that, like Paul, I fought a good fight and I've finished. You must fight a good fight of faith and get the reward. And also Paul says, I do not fight like a man throwing blows in the air. You are supposed to throw a blow with the aim of hitting something. And he also says, in a race, all the runners run, but not all become number one, not all win the prize. And then he says, run as in a way to attain the prize for which you are called for. So don't just run. We have to win. We are not just throwing blows in the air. And that's why I've said we have to complete it. There is power in completion. And I've said there are so many distractions, things that don't want you to finish, to reach your end. And others are mistakes of people around you. Others are decisions you made all by yourself. But all in all, these are things that work to distract us. I want to start with a character called Mephibosheth. You remember the grandfather. Now, Mephibosheth was the grandchild of King Saul, because Mephibosheth was the son of Jonathan, and Jonathan was the son of King Saul. So Mephibosheth was King Saul's grandchild. And simple mistake of King Saul refusing to hand over power. You know, God had anointed David. God had even told Prophet Samuel, arise, I have already rejected this man. Why? Because King Saul thought he could just go and offer the priest sacrifice. He was not willing to wait for Prophet Samuel. So when the kingdom was torn away from him, you can remember even when Samuel was about to leave, King Saul tried to grab a hold of the garment of Samuel, and then it tore. And Samuel told him, the same way the kingdom has been torn from your hands. Now, Saul was like most African leaders. Saul refused to leave power. There's a problem in Africa, that's a topic for another day. Africa and Arab countries. Our leaders are usually removed from power by force, others even by death. We refuse to vacate. In Africa, a leader will have a corruption case, but we will refuse. And we will tell people those are lies, don't listen to the media and everything. But we see in other developed parts of the world, somebody just faces a few allegations, you hear the person has stepped down so that he can be investigated or she can be investigated. Now, this was the same with Saul. Saul refused. He knew very well that the Spirit of God had left him and the Spirit of God had entered David. But because Saul didn't want to admit that, he held on to power. And remember, I've said completion. There are so many distractions that try to cause the work that God began in you not to come to completion. Now, which work had God begun in David? God wanted David to be king. God had anointed David to be king. There was only one problem. There is a man called King Saul who had refused to forget. I want to say this to some people watching. There are other people right now who don't know. The main reason they are not experiencing their victory is because somebody else who was already fired, somebody else who was already denied a tender, a contract, is still holding on to that thing. No wonder you are lacking yours. I like saying there's this message that goes around where people say that there is enough room in the sky, we can all fly. Yes, that is true. But do you know there's also spiritual warfare? It could be God released your blessing a long time ago, but the distractions, the people who try to deviate, the destiny killers, they are destiny aborters. These things are real. We cannot assume. We cannot say if anyone is in Christ Jesus is a new creation, everything is new, and we just live and sleep. There are people who are making sure, working day and night, that you don't get your blessing, that you don't get your breakthrough. And so David has been anointed king, but there is a king in authority who wants to make sure that David does not ascend to that position. When Jesus was born, King Herod was intimidated because he was wondering, who is this that I hear, the King of Kings? And Herod was intimidated to a point that he said, show me where the baby is, I want to go and worship. And we all know he was lying. Listen, there's a reason great men and women, when they are born, they are hidden. If you read in the Bible, all the great people who are born in a time of tension, they were hidden. Because their parents were wise enough to know that the thing I'm carrying, for it to reach completion, I will have to hide it. When Moses was born, you remember the mother said, hey, this boy I have to hide him. For 3 months, nobody saw Moses. But our current day Christian, even before the baby comes, everybody has seen your protruding stomach on social media. You are showing everyone your stomach. Before you know it, it ends up you don't even have a baby to bring back home. I know this is a sensitive subject. I don't mean to offend anyone. There are people who are watching who have lost loved ones. They have lost a baby. And I'm not saying it is your mistake. Some people are wondering, why couldn't you have told these things to us earlier? But there's a reason you're listening to them right now. There's a time it is just the devil. So we cannot blame it on the parents. We cannot say it is the parents who are careless. The enemy is just here to kill, steal, and destroy. I know that. So you cannot start telling people what they should have done, what they couldn't have done. But I'm just giving us divine secrets to those of us who are yet to experience such things. That when you are given a gift, learn to hide it. Don't show your stomach everywhere. There is a pastor. He's currently an apostle. He used to have a very good ministry in town. Right now they moved. I think they got a parcel of land and they went and built a church. And this pastor is now an apostle. This apostle was saying one day, he was speaking to us in a conference, that their first baby when the wife was pregnant, they were in a stage waiting for a matatu. And then somebody just walked by them. Somebody just passed them. And that person pretended to be falling. You know, like the way you can be limping, like somebody who's about to fall. And then this person supported himself by touching the stomach of this apostle's wife. And the moment he touched the stomach, you know that moment, the wife was 5 months pregnant. The person just touched the stomach and then left. And then everybody thought that was strange. Of all the places you could have touched, he just touched the stomach. And then he disappeared. And then this apostle was telling us, at that time, he was still young. He was growing in issues of spiritual warfare. He felt something in his spirit was not right. He felt disturbed by that action. And he was saying 2 weeks later, they lost that child. And that's the time when he prayed and he asked God, he was reminded of that event. That was somebody who had marked them. There are people who don't want anything good for you. You know, the problem with people with a good heart, they assume everyone else has a good heart. And so you're always kind to everyone. You are smiling with people who have even come to replace you. You are always welcoming. I want to say this. There's this statement, if you have lived long enough, you'll hear this thing. You will hear people saying, why is it that good people die early? And then the wicked, hey, they're the ones who are, they're clicking 90 years like nobody's business. I'm telling you, people with good hearts, they go early. Do you know why? Because they open their heart even to witches. They open their houses even to relatives who have brought poison. So have some element of guarding yourself, because you have to complete. He who began a good work in you. There's a movie called Pilgrim's Progress, for those who have watched it. That movie is a Christian movie that shows how it is difficult for somebody to reach the end of their journey. If you have not watched that movie, go watch it. Go see the way that man struggles. That when he's trying to reach heaven, demons are fighting him. He has a heavy bag on his back. And this movie called Pilgrim's Progress is to show people that the Christian walk is not easy. You will meet people who are trying to discourage you. People who are telling you, oh, it's been 8 years. You are still waiting on God to get a child. Just give up. Remember what Job was told. Curse God and die. And so this journey is not easy. And that's why I'm saying we have to finish it. We have to complete. Because look at the year. How many people started the year with us, but there are no more? The COVID is sweeping people left, right, and center. For you to complete, I'm telling you, the race is not for the faint-hearted. This journey, many people tell you, just give your life to the Lord, everything will be okay. That is one part of the message. They always fail to tell you the other side. And that's why I love a certain song. I think it is by the Martins. You go listen to it if you've never listened to that song called The Promise. There's a song called The Promise. Go to YouTube, just type The Promise by the Martins. You will hear the content of that song. And they said God never promised that it would be easy, but he promised to be with you. When God calls you, he does not promise you that it's going to be soft. You're going to face tribulation. But he warned us, he even told us in his word, in this world you will have many troubles. I don't know why we don't like reading that part. But what is the final part? It says, however, take heart, for I have overcome. Don't ignore that part that says, in this world, you will have many troubles. Why? Because this is not our home. As long as you are here on earth, you are not in heaven. You have not reached. So expect challenges. But that's why we have to fight so that we can complete completion. And so I was telling even about this apostle. They lost their baby just like that, because they didn't know that there are people who are keen on making you give up. There are people who are very focused on making your blessings to abort. And so let's go back to Saul. As I was saying, he refused to come out of power. And that's why I said there are some decisions that sometimes it is other people who make them. It is not even you. Someone else makes a decision that changes the trajectory of your life permanently. And because of one decision by someone called King Saul, to refuse to leave power. One day, a war breaks out, and Saul and Jonathan are in the field, and they are killed in that battle because Saul just refused to come out the right way. And so when they are killed, there is panic in the camp. And that is why I come back to the topic the person had introduced, the grandson called Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth is a young boy. The father, who is Jonathan, is in the battle. The grandfather, who is King Saul, is in the battle. And they are both killed. So this boy in one day loses his father and his grandfather and is left alone. And now there is panic back at home. And so the nurse, the house help, who was bringing up Mephibosheth, because of panicking and everyone is running because their masters have been killed, she picks up Mephibosheth in a careless way and drops Mephibosheth. And Mephibosheth becomes paralyzed in both feet. Mephibosheth is crippled because of a decision that is not his. Number one, the grandfather has refused to leave power. Number two, the house help has refused to be careful. She just carries Mephibosheth anyhowly. And Mephibosheth is paralyzed. And Mephibosheth grows up a bitter man, a defeated man, because of decisions that were not even his consent. He was not even consulted. And there are people who grow up like Mephibosheth. You are bitter because from the moment you are small, somebody raped you, somebody molested you. And that's why I'm saying there are things that happen to you and they change the trajectory of your life permanently. There are people, just because of that rape, they will now grow up to be prostitutes. They go to Koinange Street, and then one day a client just decides to kill them. Because you know, most of these sex workers are strangled at night because they pick up very dangerous people. People who rape them over again and kill them. And now somebody is dead because of a series of decisions. And as I've said, it is because we don't listen to God. If King Saul had just listened to God and said, okay, I'm going to vacate power, I'm going to let King David take over, we will not be experiencing all this mess. There are people who are watching me. You know very well God has told you something. God has told you, leave this relationship. But you see, you have refused. What you don't know is the ripple effect that will have even on your children. Imagine if somebody had told King Saul that this decision you are taking today will affect even your grandson. Maybe King Saul would have done a different thing. But you see, most of the time we think that our decisions affect us alone. You are not aware that the drug you are abusing will affect your parents, your loved ones, because now they have to look for money to take you to rehab. Now they have to look for money to try and take you to hospital to help you. You are not aware that the decisions you are taking, these decisions will affect generations after you. And so Mephibosheth grows up in a slum area, in an area called Lodibar. And I told you at one time during these teachings that Lodibar means place of no communication. Lodibar means cut off, a place that is cast in a way. Mephibosheth was living in a slum area, an area that has sewage, all those things, because of people not just listening to simple instructions that God says, maybe it is time to let go. Maybe it is time to let another one rule. Listen, there are so many distractors that don't want you to complete. There's a pastor who was saying that when he finally bought a car, okay, you know, even here in Kenya, most people go to Mombasa to buy a car. You go there at the port of Mombasa, you get these Japanese used vehicles and all that. And this pastor was saying he had been praying so hard for God to give him a car. Then finally he got the car. But this pastor was saying He became so angry and bitter at the same time, and he was weeping and telling God, I'm so sorry. He was saying when he looked at the car, you know, when you're not buying these new cars from the showroom, when you're buying these imported cars, most of them are usually 8 years old and above. That's why even in Kenya, they tried to introduce a rule the other day that the cars that are coming to our ports, the ones that are 8 years old and above will not be entering Kenya, because some people are coming to sell us cars that are over 10 years. You know, they've been used for over 10 years. So now this pastor was saying when he looked at the year of manufacture of this car, it was 12 years ago. 12 years ago. So this pastor was saying a car that he was supposed to drive was built 12 years ago. It took 12 years for him to locate and own that car. That thing really broke him, and it really ministered to me. That how many of us have ever even looked at it like that? That some of you, your blessing came 12 years ago, and one day you are going to be a very bitter woman, a very bitter man, when you realize that the things that you have, you should have gotten them in 1998. You are coming to get them in the year 2021. There are some people who end up building a home when they are 70 years old. Imagine at 70. Imagine how painful it will be when you realize you should have built your home in 1991. Some people should have built their home in 1978. They are struggling to build their house now when they are retired, when they have gray hair. You are so old, even when you're ordering the fundi and the foreman, you just stand for 2 minutes and you're telling them, hey, bring me a chair, I want to sit. And you're sitting down. And they are busy making for you a house that has stairs, a house that has upstairs. My question is, if you cannot even stand for 2 minutes and your bedroom is in first floor, will you manage to climb to your bedroom? Now, do you understand why we are supposed to get our blessings early? Personally, I don't want to build a house when I'm 70. What am I building a house for when I'm 70? And then I live 2 years and I die. No, I'm going to build a house now. Even the Bible tells us, enjoy the wife of your youth. In Proverbs, we are not told enjoy the wife of your old age. I once saw a wedding in Kericho of a woman getting married at 54 years. And I was like, okay, I'm happy for her. But at the back of my mind, I was wondering, really? At 54? We are supposed to enjoy the wife of our youth, not the wife of our retirement. What are you doing getting married at 60? You've spent all your energy. You do not even have strength anymore. Both of you cannot even climb the bed. When you try to sit, your back hurts. And then you want to start having sex at 60. No, we are supposed to get these blessings early. Enjoy the blessings early. So this pastor was angry that his car came 12 years later. Why? Because there are always an enemy who wants to make sure that he who began a good work in you, the enemy wants to see that work not complete. But I decree and I prophesy that none of us shall miss to get our blessings. None of us shall miss to get our breakthrough because of other people's carelessness, because of other people's mistakes. If you are molested, if you are raped, may God heal you. We are very sorry for that. There are some things it is hard to imagine. You cannot wish it on anyone. But maybe it is time you healed. You just tell God, here I am. I want to try again. I want to try this thing again. Carry it to completion. Don't allow your blessing to be aborted. And Mephibosheth ended up living in the king's palace eventually. Because one day David asked, hey, is there anyone left in the house of Saul that I can show kindness? And he was told Mephibosheth. You see, when you keep on praying, when you don't give up, one day, it doesn't matter whether it was the carelessness of people, God is going to vindicate you. God is going to reward you. You see, Mephibosheth was living in a slum area because of a decision he did not take. It was the decision of his father and his grandfather. Now, can you imagine? Like in Kenya, we have a current talk of dynasties and hustler. Mephibosheth was from a dynasty. The father was the king. Now I want you to picture somebody who's coming from a dynasty is living in a slum. Look at that transition. That's why I've told you there are some decisions people make. They do not know they will change the trajectory of their children's children forever. But then one day, because of the faithfulness of Jonathan towards David, God asks, I need to remember this boy. And so you can imagine, I'm sure maybe one day Mephibosheth was in a kibanda, eating in a shanty place, dirty, full of houseflies. And then he sees CID officers or FBI. And Mephibosheth is tensing. You know, he can't even run. The man is crippled. These are the special forces from State House. They have come to get him. And Mephibosheth is wondering, what have I done? I'm just a beggar. I'm a cripple. Why does the king want me? And Mephibosheth is panicking, and then is brought before the king, and the king tells him, from today, you shall be eating here in the palace. You're going to sit here with me, and all the land that your father possessed and your grandfather, King Saul, I shall return to you. Imagine in a split second, in the twinkling of an eye, you go from living in a slum to living in State House, and all the land that your family owned is returned. That is the God we serve, the God who can perform a 24-hour miracle. That's why sometimes I get worried when I see people despising other people. Never despise anyone. You don't know their tomorrow. The person you are despising today can be the person who will be drafting your contract tomorrow and will be firing you. Don't think because you are mighty today, tomorrow that other person will not also be mighty. When you are handling people, handle people with care, because you don't know who you are talking to. I remember way back, years back, in 2008, I was invited. I started getting these invites quite early. In 2008, I was invited to go and speak to a group of young people. They had just finished class 8. So they told me, Kelvin, we want you to speak to these young ones because they are about to join high school. So just talk to them about Christianity, talk to them about living for God, because I was a young person, I was living for God, and they said, talk to them so that they can see that you also went through primary school, you've gone through school and you've maintained your walk with the Lord. Just talk to them so that they can do the same. And so when I went to that camp in 2008, when I was preaching and I was talking to these young people, I did not hold back. I spoke to them with passion because I knew I was speaking to the future leaders. And so I told them, I'm treating you as people that I'll be looking at years to come, and I'll be proud that I invested my time, that I prayed for you. And they were just class 8. So fast forward, after they did their class 8, they passed very well. Another one was called in a very good national school that is just in Kenya. I don't want to mention the name. Quite a number of them did very well. And then they also went, did their high school, passed very well, joined the campus. I was still keeping tabs with them. Now, a seed that I sowed in 2008, because of the way I spoke to them, it gave them the morale to go to high school and just live for God and just do their best, and they passed the exam. Now, somewhere in 2000 and what? I think it was in 2015 there. Somewhere in 2015, 2014. Remember the seed I planted in 2008. But in 2014, I was called by one of our main campuses, universities here in Nairobi. And I was the chief guest. I was invited to be the speaker, the main speaker in a forum they were having. And the person who had organized all that was somebody who was in that camp in 2008. Can you imagine? When they were looking for speakers, this person said, there is a man who spoke to us in 2008. This is almost 6-7 years ago. But this man, the way he spoke to us, we've never forgotten that word. And so they went to high school. They still didn't forget that sermon. They passed, went to university. They still didn't forget. And they said, now he has to come back. And right now I go to so many universities. In Kenya, I think there are only like 3 campuses that have never stepped. Only 3. And you can imagine they're quite. I go to campuses that are not even in Nairobi. I go to Chuka in Meru. I go to St. Paul's. I go to so many. And most of the time, these are places that I get invites because of the people I ministered to. So when they go to those universities, and that's why I'm saying, even as a parent, don't allow what you started not to reach the completion. If you started teaching your children when they were small, if you took them to Sunday school, why are you allowing the devil to come and kill your children? Why are you allowing the devil to come and distract your children? We are not going to do things halfway. We are going to do things that will be carried to completion. Because you started with your child, don't allow anyone to come and distract. They have to finish. They have to go to university. They have to finish high school very well. They have to, don't say, my son was okay when he was in class 7. Nowadays, that boy in kichwa ngumu, why do you allow for that scripture not to be fulfilled? That you began a good work. Why are we allowing the enemy not to allow that work to be finished? If the Lord began a good work in you, if the Lord gave you a husband, don't allow your husband to go away. Get on your knees. Pray. Tell God, there's a strange woman. If you are a man and your wife has started to go haywire, get on your knees. Tell God, there is another man, a sponsor, who is deceiving my wife. Don't allow what God began to be broken. Pray until it is carried to completion. Tell God, you are the one who gave me this wife. You are the one who gave me this husband. We are not divorcing. We are finishing this thing. But so many people reach somewhere and they say, kila mtu ende zake, and they divorce. Why do you allow that? He who began a good work in you is faithful to carry it to completion. Don't allow it to be taken away. And so, time is really flying and I need to wrap this thing. There are distractions that cause our good work that God began not to be finished. And some of those distractions, as I've said, God will have warned us. And in the first part of this talk, I said how in Amos chapter 3, God will always give you a warning. God will always show you something is about to happen. It will always come. I remember there's a time I was in high school and then I couldn't sleep. I was so disturbed and I wondered, okay, what is happening? So I remember I told guys, I don't know if I was in Form 3, but I was in high school. I called the CU and I told them, something is totally off. I think our families are under attack. So I told guys, tomorrow, Friday, we are going to have a day of fast. Remember, we're in high school. We are supposed to be reading. Sometimes we even have double maths, double chemistry. You have very tough subjects that need you fully concentrated and well fed. But I was telling guys, for tomorrow we are sacrificing. We are not eating. We are going to fast. And then in high school, I'd introduced the kesha. I'd gone to the principal, talked to the principal so that we can be doing a kesha at least once a month on Fridays. So I told guys, we're going to be fasting. We'll break it later on in the evening. And then at night, we shall do a kesha. And so that was the case. We fasted on Friday. In the evening, we did a kesha. Then on Saturday, on Saturday was a weekend, was a free day at our school. So I was sleeping, I was resting. Because, we have keshed. So I was trying to just get some small sleep at least to feel fresh. I get a call that I'm being called in the staff room. And then I go to the staff room. I'm wondering, okay, what's up? There's a phone call from home. My mom and my brother had been involved in an accident, but they're okay. But if you looked at the car, my goodness, I'm telling you, later on when I saw the pictures of my mom's car, when I looked at that car, I even wondered, is that a car that whoever was inside can survive? You know, the car was totally wrecked. The car was totally damaged. But I think the only thing my mom got was a scar or a cut. It was not making sense. Like, if I showed you that car, you'd have even asked, whoever was inside is minced meat. You know the way you can look at a car and you just say whoever is inside there is dead. Not even a bone was broken. No wonder I was getting a feeling that something is not right. Now imagine if I just slept. If I just said, that is just me. As we are talking, I wouldn't be having a mom and I wouldn't be having a brother. But as I'm speaking to you, they are both alive, and this was years back. What am I saying? Sometimes God gives us heads up. Hey, an attack is coming. But we choose, I think I'm too sleepy. Sometimes when you find yourself awake at 2 a.m., it is not a coincidence. Maybe it is God telling you, wake up, you are sleeping too much. Pray for your family, pray for Kenya. I've been telling God, return us back to those days where you used to go to Karura Forest and you find intercessors there praying for Kenya. Nowadays, intercessors are a handful. People are tired. And the ones who are praying, they have changed the prayer items. Father, I want a car. Father, I want a husband. Father, I want children. Now we've become selfish. But the Bible is asking, where are the wailing women? In Isaiah 62, God is saying, "O Jerusalem, I have posted watchmen on your walls." Where are the watchmen of Kenya who will pray and tell God, you who began a good work in Kenya, you will carry it to completion? Do you know how many prophecies have been made about this country? Why aren't we birthing this prophecy? Why aren't we going on our knees and telling God, the prophecy that has been made about this country, it has to come to pass. It will not be aborted in Jesus' name. Where are the wailing women? I want to end there because of time. There's so much. If I start to delve into this, I just think we'll take another 1 hour. I'll try to put this blending in the other topic that we shall be beginning next week, because there's so much that we still haven't tackled. But I just want to say, he who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. Don't give up. Don't give up. Pick yourself up together again if you are discouraged and tell God, I'm going to finish. If you are a single mom, pick yourself up and finish that journey. Don't feel discouraged because you've been left and somebody has left you all that burden and you're saying, I want to give up. No. He who began a good work in you is faithful to carry it to completion. I want to end there. Get interacting with me on Facebook, Kelvin Obonyo. Let's interact. Go like JTV. You will find this and many other amazing sermons and words, and I believe you'll be blessed. Thank you till we meet again next time. God bless. Bye.